This year we've gotten some masterfully well-made anime these past seasons, but every time a new one begins, there just seems to be more and more shows being released, to the point where good shows aren't that hard to find anymore.
Finally, some good fucking food.
Studio A1 Pictures has absolutely blown it out of the water with its stunning adaptation of Oshinoko, giving anime fans an insight into the vast world of entertainment culture, as well as topping the global charts with its opening song Idol. And I'm honestly surprised by the praise everyone in the community is giving it, when it's essentially just Love Live with extra steps. Now, just in the winter and spring seasons alone, we've gotten sequels to highly acclaimed shows like Attack on Titan, Vinland Saga, and Demon Slayer, along with new and impressive series like Hell's Paradise and Mashle. Basically just The Rock coming along to beat up Harry Potter nerds.
Let The Rock tell you in Chinese. Ding bang ding dong, he's Stone Cold Aye.
Yet because of this, everything is being talked about and hyped up. So nowadays, it's become much harder to find shows that can genuinely be considered a hidden gem. Shows that might not have the best hook or might seem messy to get into, but ultimately have a truly engrossing story to tell. Although in this vast world of anime and manga, because you can find so many different stories for so many different types of people, it's hard for everyone to give each show that's recommended the opportunity it needs to captivate and hook them. And after scrolling past the hundreds of anime on my to-watch list, I randomly decided to give this one a shot, for absolutely no reason whatsoever besides the fact that the trailer had me mildly interested. So I came in expecting to see a show that was just your simple post-apocalyptic anime with a decent plot and some cool fight scenes here and there. But after burning through each episode one by one, I realized that this wasn't a good show. It was a million times better than good. But wait, I'm getting too far ahead of myself. So let's start things off at the beginning, right at episode 1. What happens when civilization collapses and humans are no longer at the top of the food chain? It's the year 2024 and the world has ended. Monstrous creatures roam the night in this decimated landscape of what used to be Japan, preying on any living thing that comes in their way. A mysterious disease invades the bodies of numerous victims. We have people trying to grab a hold of power and authority in this chaotic environment. Alien-like cults are everywhere, and essential resources are scarce, forcing people to do whatever they can do to survive. And in this mess, two teenagers, Maru and Kiriko, are traveling through the ruins of civilization in search of a place called Heaven. One of them can kill these seemingly unkillable monsters, and the other has a laser gun that's powered by a AA battery. And in the midst of all this, there also exists an isolated facility where the kids inside have no idea about the situation in the outside world. Kids that have seemingly superhuman abilities. And one morning, during a testing session, one of the girls suddenly receives an ominous message. Do you want to go
outside? The outside?
Sometimes you just come across a show that just does everything right. From the music, the characters, the action, and the direction. On the other hand, compared to the abundance of generic anime we get every season, this one is leagues ahead. There's a common trend with most isekai and shonen anime that air every year, which is that the story follows such a plain and generic route for the first few arcs. Events randomly happen at the right time, power-ups occur at the right moment, and sometimes even character relationships feel forced, just because it's something that'll keep the audience attached to the story, no matter how cheap or basic it is. Oh, the main character has some secret power that no one knows about? Nice job, anime, I couldn't have guessed. And it's such an easy hook that most stories follow because they need something to grab the viewer's attention to fully set up the story later on. However, Heavenly Delusion manages to do the same thing by giving the audience nothing to hold on to. The viewer doesn't know what's going to happen, and to be honest, during my viewing of this series, I didn't even know what genre this show even was half the time. In some cases, it's a slice of life, sometimes it's a mystery, and every now and then, it becomes your typical shonen action series. But it all just plays out, filling your mind with these questions that are never fully answered. Why is he doing this? Where is she going? What is this place? And before you know it, you've already finished the last episode. The apocalypse isn't exactly a unique concept in TV shows, movies, and anime. I mean, every single movie where the world comes to an end seems to be because of a zombie outbreak. And because this genre is so saturated, it's easy for the plot to fall into its stereotypical plot lines. Creating a new civilization with the survivors, living your life to the fullest in a lawless world, or trying to get rid of the monsters by making a vaccine of some kind. Countless shows have fallen into this pitfall. But unlike what these shows have gotten themselves into, Heavenly Delusion manages to overcome this challenge by not doing anything. I think the most genius element the author added was that Maru and Kiriko don't try to save the world or even restart modern civilization, because to them, this world is the norm. Eating strange meats from different animals, trying to find a semi-decent house to sleep in for the night, and fighting off other people who prey on their supplies. They experience these challenges that might seem arduous or difficult, though it becomes something that occurs often and is considered to be typical under the circumstances the story sets up. And this allows the world to be explored not as a shadow of the modern civilization, but as a new one that's encapsulated in chaos and danger. Here, the characters don't feel like they're out of place. They don't have the sense of feeling that they don't belong here, but rather it feels like we're watching two people living out their lives in this post-apocalyptic world. Yes, they are on edge most of the time because of these man-eating monsters and ugly bastards roaming about, but they can also eat breakfast and banter together like nothing's gone wrong, trying to make the most of what their lives currently are. And it might be a bit strange to say this, but the anime characters in this show don't really feel like your typical anime ones, because they aren't all built on a single trope. They don't have one core element to their personality. Instead, it's more of a collection of diverse experiences and interests that make them who they are. Having to deal with the loss of a family member, feeling abandoned and empty in this vast, harsh world, finding that person who is able to touch their heart, and having to separate the good moments from the bad. You witness these characters changing throughout their journey through their experiences, which define who they are as people as they mature. And you can't label these characters with your usual anime cliches, because she's not just the tsundere of the show, he's not your basic bitch shonen hero, and these kids aren't heroes who are meant to save the world. But they feel real, or as real as fictional characters can be. Not as an idealized or melodramatic character that makes your heart race in anticipation, but as someone who you can fully sympathize with. Someone that pulls you in and captivates you fully with their individually unique quirks and personality. Someone that you can see in parts of yourself even if they're in an entirely different world from yours. The anime shows us the bare bones of human nature, feelings that are universal no matter what the world is like. But besides all this philosophical bullshit I'm spouting out, this anime is genuinely just amazing. Just the production values of this show alone could make it easily in the top 10 or 20 of this year's best anime. I mean, just look at these shots. Every single frame looks like it could be your desktop wallpaper, like some sort of art book brought to life. Sometimes you can just tell whenever a studio absolutely loves what they're working on, that they're truly passionate about making this work of art come to life. It has that extra bit of effort, that added pinch of dedication, that makes it truly stand out from your generic seasonal anime adaptation. Every shot, every frame, and every soundtrack is used to convey a feeling that the show wants you to feel. And Heavenly Delusion has this down to precision. Fight scenes don't just get you hyped up, they make you stay on the edge of your seat, anxious for the outcome. And melodramatic moments aren't just sad, but rather you fall quiet as you try to fully absorb the implications of the scene you witness. And even though this might not be the best show of the year, or even the last few seasons, but it's definitely up there as one of the best this year has to offer. But as much as I love this show, I'll still have to admit that it's nowhere near over. What we have now is just the surface of what this show has to offer, and who knows, it might end up as a spectacular car crash that'll leave me feeling empty inside once again. So what I'm trying to say is, it could either end up as a really great show to watch, or it could end up as a dumpster fire down the line. Which hopefully doesn't happen, because it can't be that hard to end an anime well, right? But for now, Heavenly Delusion is a perfect gateway show into the world of post-apocalyptic disasters. It has all these elements of a good HBO show that you normally binge in one night, and it's something that I'd honestly recommend to just about anybody. If you're feeling tired of waiting for the next season to come along, then maybe you can give this show a shot, because there's no denying the fact that with its production values and premise, it's one of the better shows of this year, despite how incredibly high the bar is for great shows in 2023. And if after all this you're still not convinced, then maybe it's time for me to let the show speak for itself.
Like older girls and
No, 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 no. Wait. Wait.